there's obviously always brand new news coming out of Elon Musk's DOGE department, whether they are trying to clean up the roles of the IRS or whether they are trying to scale down, maybe get rid of some people who are not necessary right now and cut the budgets, of course. And right now I'm looking at this, Will. There's news coming out, and people maybe saw it yesterday, that another judge has gotten involved in the DOGE situation.
That's right. So this is another one of those cases where a union group tried to block the firing of federal employees. And remember, a lot of these are probationary employment. They aren't like vested as full employees yet. And the union brought forward this complaint saying, hey, you got to put an end to this, court. You can't let them just fire these bureaucrats. And this judge, Judge Christopher Cooper from the district court in D.C., decided to not block the firing of employees or the spending freezes that are happening, saying that, once again, not the right forum for this, that they didn't have standing to bring this. And so therefore, he was not going to temporarily block the firing of federal employees. He did say, you should probably go through the Federal Labor Relations Authority. He wasn't necessarily on the side of DOGE and the Trump presidency, right, but following the law, saying this isn't the right place to do this. You have other avenues that these employees could take. It's very similar to some of the other decisions we've seen, even the one out of Judge Chutkan. The
unlikely Judge Chutkan.
She also said she was concerned about it, but that, once again, they didn't have standing to bring it and therefore wouldn't block it. So it's quite the contrast of what we've seen over the last 4 years, where the legal system and the court system was so weaponized against President Trump, from state courts to federal court to the special counsel, and just how much the country went through. But now we're even seeing some of those same judges follow the law and say this is this is what it is.
At least somewhat of a victory in some sense, because the judges are presumably doing their jobs.
Absolutely. And so we have seen a number of these victories which reflect the fact that the Trump lawyers are actually well prepared this time for the left's lawfare. And so if you go back to 2017, the Trump administration had some difficulty first with Jeff Sessions as Attorney General, who I think was unprepared. And then he decided to recuse himself. But Pam Bondi, the Department of Justice lawyers, the lawyers for Donald Trump are prepared to do combat. And if you look at the specific decision by Judge Cooper, it's important to keep in mind that the judge has declined to block Trump's effort to shrink the federal workforce. That is something Donald Trump was elected to do, and the failure of Donald Trump to fulfill his mission, arguably, would be an affront to democracy. And I think the judge read the Constitution properly.
And Harry, I think it's another thing that we should point out of why this is a big deal is that these cases where they decided to file, and obviously these are in D.C. There was also the one from Judge Chutkan, so it makes sense because it is the federal government. But, there have also been cases filed in Rhode Island, New York. A lot of times we know that the plaintiff will find a forum shopping is what it's referred to, where or jurisdiction shopping, where they will find what they think are going to be favorable judges. And you have to admit that the D.C. Circuit has taken the place of the Ninth Circuit. We used to always think of the Ninth Circuit as being the most liberal judicial circuit when it comes to the judges that are on the bench there. D.C. definitely has taken that place because really of some of the appointments of President Trump during his first administration. It's still a very liberal-leaning court out there in the West, but the fact that we've now seen two decisions out of the D.C. Circuit Court, District Court, is amazing that we're not seeing the activist judge that we would almost assume would come out of these districts. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, number one, these judges actually can read the Constitution. And if you look at Article 2 of the United States Constitution, it vests the president with the entire executive power. And so the power is vested in President Trump rather than in a lifetime bureaucracy. Don't get me wrong, federal employees, they have rights. This particular judge said that these workers maybe can appeal their case to the Federal Labor Relations Authority, but that's their sole remedy as he reads the Constitution. I think the judge is precisely correct, and I think this has surprised, if you will, many individuals on the left wing of government, and the Democrats in particular. And so many Democrats in Congress are reduced to providing singing lessons to the American people.
Let's go take a call, because we got a call related to this. I'd love to get Harry's point of view. Let's go to Michael, who's calling from Florida, watching on YouTube. Michael, welcome.
It just seems to me to be a direct reflection of who these people are, that when DOGE comes in and either is pointing things out to make cuts, or even to the ones where DOGE will be, it's a direct reflection on how they feel about the money, meaning it's their money. And so it's really, though, our money, is it not?
Well, of course, this is a lot of our taxpayer dollars doing the work.
In reality, Professor Hutchison, that is the biggest problem with the bureaucracy and the way the federal grant program has ballooned over decades, is that those within the government aren't really seeing themselves as accountable to the American people and not really taking good stewardship of the American people's tax dollars.
I think that's precisely correct. And indeed, many people in the federal bureaucracy are simply using the federal government to launder taxpayer money to their friends and, if you will, their relatives who are running many left-wing organizations. So, for instance, there are published reports that U.S. aid funding has gone to George Soros' foundations so that he can pose a threat to democracy in Western Europe. This is ridiculous.
We are so excited to announce the ACLJ's brand new app, completely redesigned to provide you with the best tools available to partner with us at the ACLJ. You can watch the daily Secular program, sign the petitions, customize your ACLJ membership experience, donate with the click of a button, and receive up-to-the-minute critical updates that the mainstream media can't censor. Just scan the QR code on your screen or go to your phone's app store, search ACLJ, and click install. It's that simple.